Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, no longer Los Angeles, California, to be pseudo-specific. My name is BrianEngelman. Today is Saturday, August the 16th, 2025, and this right here is the TNAM Daily Show over on the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. Trump and Putin meet in Russia. What comes next? Well, some stuff. Let's see. Morgan Wallen hits the Shador Sanders and sports a Jim Thome jersey in Cleveland. Yes, I do Cleveland sports, by the way. And he points at his wristwatch. I don't know. I think that stuff's kind of lame, but whatever. It is what it is. The Cleveland Browns play today. I'm wearing my brownie. And of course, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. Find us. Stay tuned. So we're going to talk about the things in the news in a rapid fire round. So without further delay, let's jump into the show.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
Thank you all for being here. Hit like, hit subscribe, however you are watching the program today. How's your weekend? Anything fun on tap? Anything interesting on tap for you? Say hello in the comments section. Are you growing anything out in the garden, by the way? Are you working in the garden? Doing some yard work? Let's say join us live on our Facebook groups. Luve, L-U-V-E, no L-I-V-E. There we go. We are up and streaming. Hey, if you're on YouTube and you have that chance with that little button, hit the little hearts or the 100 or the Fiesta thing. Show some engagement. Leave some comments. I want to talk about what's going on in the world. And I want to know who's in the room today watching the program. All right, let's go side by side. We will bring up the comments as people populate the chat room. So Trump and Putin have met. Let's kind of watch how it all breaks down. It's set up to be a side by side. It's supposed to be happening at the same time. At the synced up, I believe. That's my understanding. You know, you read into all of these things. The body language, the walk. The gait, the G-A-I-T. Well, that time later, now President Trump is getting to the red carpet. There they go, shaking hands. Cordial. Friendly. He's saluting. She walks past. Now watch this. Watch this. Did you notice that?
President Putin, will you agree to a ceasefire?
Mr. President, what's your message to Vladimir Putin?
Mr. Putin, did you underestimate Ukraine? President Putin, will you stop killing civilians? President Putin, how can the U.S. trust your word?
So what did you take away from this? I got another angle that I want to show you. All right, so that one's interesting, watching it synced up. But it was absolutely gangster to fly that B-52 overhead as they met. Let's see if the next post here. I want to show you that video, so let me continue scrolling for it, and we'll go through the rest of the news. Here's an update with the U.S. Marines, according to Informed with Anthony Cabasa. Take a listen, everybody. Things are just happening really fast in this Trump administration.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have some massive breaking news coming out of the Pentagon. This is breaking news. President Trump deploys over 4,000 U.S. Marines and sailors to waters around Latin America to begin counter-cartel missions. Now, if you haven't been following the story, President Trump basically gave the green light to U.S. military to begin operations to come after cartel across Latin America. How that's going to look like is yet to be seen. However, today, CNN is reporting that, yes, they are sending ships, among other things. So this is, per the CNN article, it says the U.S. military announces the deployment of over 4,000 U.S. troops to Latin American waters and the Caribbean as part of a ramped-up effort to combat drug cartels. A nuclear-powered attack submarine, P-8 Poseidons, recon aircraft, multiple destroyers, and even a guided missile cruiser will be deployed as well. So you do have some Latin American presidents, to include Mexico's Sheinbaum, Presidenta Sheinbaum, Claudia Sheinbaum. I was kind of drawing a blank there, but she's even said that there will be no U.S. troops on their soil. However, I mean, guided missile cruisers, I don't know if like the U.S. necessarily even has to go into these Latin American countries in order to target the cartels. They can just shoot off the ships, hypothetically speaking. And so how this is going to be carried out remains to be seen, but this is obviously a flex on the cartel. Now, recently I did post that there was an interview done by Sean Ryan, if you guys haven't seen it, with a Mexican journalist that has been saying that the cartel has been preparing for a ground war with U.S. military assets and personnel. If you guys have not seen that, I highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Sean Ryan podcast, just put in Mexican journalist / cartel, and she goes really in depth of how the cartel have been preparing militarily even with foreign intelligence helping them out in how to track down drones and how to track down U.S. assets overhead to make sure that they are not being spied on or that they're not being targeted, etc. But yeah, what's going to happen remains to be seen. Could be something, could be nothing. Who knows? But let me know what you guys think about this story in the comments down below. And as always, make sure you follow along for more breaking news. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
I'd say it's time to regain control over North and Central America. It's been out of control for a while, and yeah, there's reports that there is legit weaponry that is built up on that southern border, like military operations type stuff built up on our border. You gotta deal with that stuff. All right, Tulsi Gabbard is telling us that Fauci's under investigation, thankfully.
Hey everybody. As we saw in today's hearing in Congress, Dr. Fauci is yet the latest example of how the Democrat elite in Washington will stop at absolutely nothing in their crusade for more control and more power, which obviously comes at the expense of our freedom, the expense of the interests of the American people. So Dr. Fauci is just the latest amongst the worst offenders. Sadly, there are so many examples that we can point to. You guys who watch me know that I use the word Democrat elite a lot. People ask me, who are these Democrat elite that you speak of? Yes, it's people like Joe Biden, people like Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer. But it's important to recognize that it is also unelected officials like Fauci, who has shown throughout his entire career serving under both Democrat and Republican administrations through his actions that he serves his own interests and the interests of big pharma and big government consistently over the interests of the American people. The insidious part about this is that he and others take these actions and abuse their power in the name of working for our best interests when in fact they are doing the exact opposite. For example, as you remember during COVID, Dr. Fauci demanded that we place blind faith in him and the government. They said, just trust us. Just trust the science. You're acting in the interest of your public health. But over time, we saw what it was really about.
Yep.
It was about control. It was about more money, huge amounts of money, our taxpayer dollars being put directly into the pockets of big pharma. They didn't care about the truth. In fact, they outwardly and very brazenly rejected science, rejected the truth, and just labeled their lies as science and the truth. Now we know Fauci has lied to Congress numerous times, including the lie that the National Institute of Health did not and does not perform or fund gain of function research.
Lie.
This is a serious one, and it's a crime that Democrats have imprisoned Republicans for, lying under oath before Congress. But here's the thing, is Democrats protect their friends who lie before Congress from ever being prosecuted and go after their opponents. We also know now that Fauci's team has been exposed through hearings yesterday and today. They worked behind the scenes to cover up the origins of the COVID outbreak. Fauci knew about it. He was CC'd on those emails, and he allowed it to happen and then lied to Congress about it. Fauci confirmed today that his quote-unquote guidance on ensuring that we all have 6 feet of social distancing between us wasn't actually backed up by any science. They just picked this random. Hey everybody. As we saw in today's hearing in Congress, Dr. Fauci is yet the latest example of how the Democrat elite in Washington will stop at absolutely nothing in their crusade for more control and more power, which obviously comes at the expense of our freedom, the expense of the interests of the American people. So Dr. Fauci is just the latest amongst the worst offenders. Sadly, there are so many examples that we can point to. You guys who watch me know that I use the word Democrat elite a lot. People ask me, who are these Democrat elite that you speak of? Yes, it's people like Joe Biden, people like Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer. But it's important to recognize that it is also unelected officials like Fauci, who has shown throughout his entire career serving under both Democrat and Republican administrations through his actions that he serves his own interests and the interests of big pharma and big government consistently over the interests of the American people. The insidious part about this is that he and others take these actions and abuse their power in the name of working for our best interests when in fact they are doing the exact opposite. For example, as you remember during COVID, Dr.
All right, that thing must have had a quick edit. All right. Thank you, Tulsi. I'm just going to put thank you, Tulsi. Go indict Fauci for the rest of us. Got to get some justice from that Fauci character. I hold him personally responsible for my brother's death.
All right.
As I've discussed on other episodes, and I'm not going to get into right now. Okay? Okay. President Trump talking with, I think, Kennedy here.
Do you ever think Hillary Clinton, the author of the bought and paid for Russian disinformation dossier, the author of the Russia hoax, going into today would be saying she would nominate you for a Nobel Peace Prize? I don't think you ever expected that happening.
Well, you know, I don't want to be involved in that sense, not because of her. It's very nice. If she said that, it's very nice. I really appreciate it, too, actually. But
she tried to ruin your life, and in many ways, she ruined 3 years of your life.
Well, she made me stronger and tougher. And, you know, we had...
You are way more forgiving than me.
Wow.
Well, it was a sad chapter in our country's history. I will say that. Look, you can't run a country that way. You know, Vladimir Putin said something.
Why is he not going after Hillary?
One of the most interesting things, he said,
And he totally redirected this interview away from Hillary. He's really running cover for the Clintons.
Election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead. And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a rigged election. But mail-in voting, Sean, the politics.
I'm curious if we have confirmation that Putin did say this. Was Putin asked, is this a fair translation of what you said? Yes or no?
Politicians, I think I'm going to make it a big, I know the answer is that Jimmy Carter, years ago, along with Scoop Jackson and some others, they had a committee, respected people, good committee, Jimmy Carter, good guy. You know, he's a good man. And the conclusion was you can't have mail-in voting. We have mail-in voting. It's so dishonest. They send stuff. Some people get 7 ballots. Look at California with that horrible governor they have. He's one of the worst governors in history. He's incompetent. He doesn't know what he's doing. They send out like 38 million ballots. Some people get 5, 6, 7. But Vladimir Putin, smart guy, said you can't have an honest election with mail-in voting. And he said there's not a country in the world that uses it now.
Oh, I would love to see election reform.
Well, we have to do it. I don't know why we're not doing it.
No, I'd
and
like
you
to
bring it up. The Democrats don't want it. Look, the Republicans want it, but not strongly enough. I mean, they got to want it strong because it can't be honest. It goes through a postman. It goes through somebody. You know, when you go to a really well-run voting booth, you go in, you have to hand a card, a picture, or this or that. You don't have everything perfect. You get sent back. Go get it. It's very hard to do something fraudulent with a vote.
Paper ballots.
Mail-in voting, they give you boxes of stuff. You have no idea where they came from. This mail-in voting, you can't have a great democracy, republic. You can't have it Well, maybe that's why we're going to end up with a communist mayor in New York. I don't know. He probably is very happy with mail-in ballot. But you can't have a great democracy with mail-in voting.
Voter ID, signature verification.
Yeah. It's just, it's unreliable.
Chain of custody controls, updated voter rolls, partisan observers watching the vote.
Yeah, the observers. There were a trillion problems. And remember, nobody would stand up and say, you know what? We need to examine this. We need to figure out what we're talking about. Everyone just had to brush it off and say, no, you don't have jurisdiction. No, you don't have standing to make the case to challenge the way things have been happening. How about that?
Voting all day, the vote counting all night. You do paper ballots, you pick a winner, and everyone goes home with confidence in the integrity.
For 10% of the cost.
Yeah.
So if you do paper ballots, it costs you 10% the cost of machines.
Let me ask you this. All right. Do you ever think Hillary Clinton, the author of...
I don't know. He's running cover for the Clintons. You should be nailing her. No, not like that. No, not like that. I can't play this song, but here's a reminder. The entertainment industry has always been wicked. The elite have always been evil. I don't even want to play this. I don't want to get it stuck in my head, but it's Elvis singing a hookup, what appears to sound like a hookup song to a little kid who's dancing for him. This is like Epstein Island stuff. I don't like this at all. Can't play the song either, so I think I will move along. JP Morgan just admitted President Trump was right and now forecasting the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates in September. It's not enough to cut them. They slash them, cut them in half, cut them by 2/3. Get rid of the damn interest. It's wasted money. It's all wasted money. It's all being thrown down the toilet. Can't stand it.
All right, Fox News Alert now as we take a look at the markets with just a couple hours left in trading. The Dow is up 223 points. This says JP Morgan is now forecasting an interest rate cut in September and 4 more by the end of the year. Okay, so markets are taking all of this in. In the meantime, Charles Payne is here to make sense of this. Charles Payne of Making Money.
Yeah.
Because people are looking to make money in this environment. And it seems, even when we ran our very unscientific poll on our show Twitter account, what is most concerning to you right now? Is it prices? Is it employment? Overwhelming majority said it's interest rates coming down. So do you believe that this is the case, that we're going to see several cuts by the end of the year?
Absolutely. Everything changed on Friday morning at 8:30 when those job numbers came down and those revisions came down, because right at that point, the consensus was September, there's maybe a 40-30% chance of a rate cut. Overwhelmingly, everyone sees that. Now, you talk about 4, that means there's going to be at least 150 basis point cut. That starts to add a sense of urgency. That really tells you, by the way, if the Fed has to do that, that will really be so damning for Jay Powell, because his position, anytime they have to do more than 25 basis points, it means that they're behind, right? It will sort of cement the notion that, Jay Powell was late yet again. And to your point, why do so many people care? This is what makes me so angry with the Federal Reserve. They always look at us as a whole nation. Small businesses, we have to refinance under these higher rates this year. Many can't do it. They can't make payroll. So you have small businesses that are hurting. You have individuals that are hurting. We just got a couple days ago from the New York Fed delinquency rates. All of them are spiking. So it's one of these things that Main Street America needs. And now you're seeing more evidence in the labor market, which is one of their key jobs, of course, for the Federal Reserve.
Yes. All right, Fox News Alert now.
Yeah. We don't need a cut in September. We need at least 50% slashed immediately. It's all wasted and stolen money. It's just such a waste. All right, so this is video of Vladimir Putin leaving flowers on the graves of soldiers at Fort Richardson Memorial Cemetery in Alaska. The move was made after his meeting with President Trump before boarding his plane. The graves honor the Soviet pilots. The graves honor the Soviet pilots and sailors who died while bringing equipment from the U.S. to the USSR during World War II, the Kremlin said. Remember, we fought together. We've been allies. Been allies before, and we can be allies again. So, well, that's Alaska, everybody. Mike Ben's finding interesting things. He's listening to music, but he's finding protests, riot training by the U.S. government. Students declared a nonviolent movement, started protesting in front of government buildings, sit-ins, intersections. Yeah, it's all scripted, these fake protests. Anyway, watch Mike Ben's video. It's 7 minutes of him uncovering that. Here we go. BG on the scene. I haven't met BG that I'm aware of. I know I've been at events where he's been. What is it, Brandon Schweiger? Reporter shows this video from BG on the scene. Following orders. Friday and Saturday night there was chaos. Not good though. Whoa, don't hit my bed. He said it's time to reclaim our blue cities and replace our Democrat politicians with MAGA members. There you go. Well, fairly uneventful. As far as I know. Sounds good to me. Hey, remember this liar, Adam Schiff, who's probably a member of the CIA? He was in line to be the CIA director, allegedly, purportedly, if Hillary had won. Thank God he didn't.
Last March, you said you had more than circumstantial evidence of treasonous collusion with Russia.
I've certainly said that there's ample evidence of collusion.
But we do know this. The Russians offered help. The campaign accepted help. The Russians gave help, and the president made full use of that help.
So you can hear, Chris, he's trying to place a narrative in the media again and again and again. But now we have a Democrat whistleblower that came out and told the FBI that Adam Schiff said, oh, it's okay to leak classified information out there. Give the intel out there because we need to hurt Donald Trump. We know that that's what's happening right now.
I mean, this is an old game. I mean, Richard Nixon in his first book, which is one of his better ones, complained bitterly about how John F. Kennedy would go into the classified briefings with him and then come out and make up a bunch of stuff. And he couldn't even refute it because it was classified and give that to the press. Schiff, this is a funny story. I'm glad that there's a Democratic whistleblower on the record, but this is just, everyone in D.C. knew it. I remember yelling at the screen when one after another really stupid stories would come out that would be proven false. And after it's proven false, I'd yell at the screen or the newspaper or whatever, when a reporter is going to stop taking tips from Adam Schiff?
Yeah.
His game was always to take different classified reports, take things that hadn't been given out, and take sections of it. And these are real sections. And he would get the reporter to look at that section.
Last March, you said you had more than circumstantial evidence of treasonous collusion with Russia.
This guy. TikTok on Schiff. We shall see. All right, a quick hit. Finding out. Hannity asking about Trump and Putin. What was agreed on?
Agreed on. and maybe one big issue you don't agree on. Are you prepared to go public with that?
No, I'd rather not. I guess somebody's going to go public with it. They'll figure it out. But no, I don't want to do that. I want to see if we can get it done.
Things you agreed on, and maybe one big issue
He looks tired.
you don't agree on. Are you prepared to go public with that?
No, I'd rather not. I guess somebody's going to go public with it. They'll figure it out. But no, I don't want to do that. I want to see if we can get it done.
Things you agreed on, and maybe one big issue you don't agree.
Well, can't say Trump isn't trying. I mean, he's got those slow eyelids. I randomly paused it and those eyelids are closed. He is tired. You rarely see Trump tired.
Are you prepared to go public with that?
No, I'd rather not. I guess somebody's going to go public with it. They'll figure it out. But no, I don't want to do that. I want to see if we can get it done.
Things you agreed on.
All right. Oh, wait, did my...
Things you agreed on, and maybe one big issue you don't.
I don't think my post posted. Well, you certainly can't say that Trump didn't try. No deal yet. I mean, are they getting closer? We'll see.
Dear Mr. President Trump.
Dear Mr. President Trump, the Cambodian Buddhist monks.
We are standing here today with hearts full of appreciations for your instrumental role in bringing about the recent ceasefire.
Did I do that? Did I change that?
Dear Mr. President Trump.
Anyway, he's saying thanks for the ceasefire, bringing peace with Thailand. Who even knew? Cambodia, Thailand. All right, you want to go down the rabbit hole? Take a listen to this one. Philip K. Dick, 1977. Agree or disagree with this one?
She was a total stranger, and she did inform me of this fact, that some of my fictional works were in a literal sense true.
This is Philip K. Dick. He wrote Blade Runner, Minority Report, Total Recall, Imposter, and the Adjustment Bureau.
I wrote out these dreams.
The Man in the High Castle.
In novel after novel, story after story. To name two in which this prior ugly present obtained most clearly, I cite The Man in the High Castle and my 1974 novel about the U.S. as a police state called Flow My Tears, the Policeman Said. I'm going to be very candid with you. I wrote both novels based on fragmentary residual memories of such a horrid slave state world. People claim to remember past lives. I claim to remember a different, very different present life. I know of no one who has ever made this claim before, but I rather suspect that my experience is not unique. What perhaps is unique is the fact that I am willing to talk about it. We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off. She was
that's a lot to chew on. Kind of makes sense, though. Leave it at that. That's a Saturday story for you. Something to consider, huh? Wow. Here, let me hit refresh. I grabbed a couple extra stories. Tatiana Martinez, an illegal alien residing in Los Angeles, who built a career on social media, according to Nuta Andre, Nutta Andre, I don't know. An illegal residing in Los Angeles who built a career on social media by doxing ICE agents and directing her followers to harass them and disrupt their arrests has now been arrested herself. It's about damn time. Did you vote for this?
Espérate, no, güey. No, espérate, me voy a dejar, pero espérate, me voy a dejar, pero espérate.
Does she not speak English either?
Espérate, me voy a dejar, pero espérate, me voy a dejar, pero espérate.
There you go. So that's happening. All right, let's hear about what Zelensky.
President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump both confirming that Zelensky will travel to the White House on Monday for an Oval Office meeting. The two leaders held lengthy phone calls late last night following the historic summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, Zelensky says he received positive signals from the U.S. on guaranteeing security for the country.
That's right, and it comes after Trump and Putin met in Alaska yesterday for a very rare face-to-face negotiation. The president describing the high-stakes meeting with Putin as a 10, and then posting to Truth Social this morning saying, quote, "It was determined by all that the best way to end the horrific war between Russia and Ukraine is to go directly to a peace agreement and not a mere ceasefire agreement, which oftentimes do not hold up."
Joining us with the latest on the summit is Rebecca Castor. She's live from Washington with the details. Good morning, Rebecca.
Charlie, good morning. For now, Trump is sharing very little details on what he discussed with Putin to not disrupt the deal as he's making it. It all started yesterday with B-2 bombers and fighter jets flying over the world leaders on the tarmac in Alaska, an opportunity for the U.S. to show off our military strength. Putin and President Trump met for about 3 hours and say many details regarding Ukraine were agreed to, but they're not there yet. Putin did, however, make this stunning admission.
Today, when President Trump saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump.
Okay, yes, he did confirm that. All right, so earlier when I questioned would Putin be asked, did he say that? He was asked and he did confirm that. Good to know.
Have built a very good businesslike and trustworthy contact.
Then President Trump then responded to Putin's confession.
I was very happy to hear him say if I was president, that war would have never happened. I see everyone saying worst since World War II by far. There's nothing even close. But we had a very good meeting today, and I think a lot of points were negotiated.
Putin's profession comes as Trump tells Fox's Bret Baier that Chinese President Xi Jinping assured him that he wouldn't invade Taiwan during his term. Even though a Ukraine peace deal hasn't been reached yet, some lawmakers are already advocating for Trump to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Congressman Andy Ogles writing, "Today, President Trump did what no leader could, brought Russia and the U.S. back to the table. from the Abraham Accords to North Korea. His record is peace through strength. I'm drafting his Nobel Peace Prize nomination now. Stay tuned. And we'll stay tuned to see if Trump can get this to the finish line. Back to you guys.
President Vladimir.
There you go. They're trying. All right, here's Anna Paulina Luna talking about the CCP.
The media will always try to amplify something because it's rage baiting and it's click and it's views, which translates to money.
And if it's negative against Trump, it gets front page news.
Of course. But when you actually look at where the funding stream is coming from, it actually goes back to China. And this is not the only incident where they try to drive a wedge between Americans and then actually compartmentalize with Hispanic Americans specifically. So in 2016, now the largest voting minority in the country are Hispanic Americans, specifically of Mexican descent. And I think you can find that stat on pewhispanic.org. So when you're looking at voting demographics, how could you influence an entire demographic to help skew or influence a midterm election? And it would be specifically probably on the immigration topic to try to race bait people. But then you have this aspect of the same guy, Neville Singham, his wife actually funds an organization called Code Pink. So this is all Chinese money now going to a separate cause. And this one specifically is on the Israel versus Palestine issue. They don't care about Israelis or Palestinians. This is a Chinese funded group. And what they're doing is they're using that front in an effort to then divide on that topic as well. So it's a multifaceted approach using minority classes in order to actually push the end goal, which would be communism.
Wow.
And also, too, you can actually look on the flyers for these organizations. So PSL, Neville Singham is actually an open admirer of Mao Zedong. I mean, it's all up there and it's out there for you to find. But it's just crazy because most people, you see this aspect of propaganda that's being shown to you, and you're not going to be like, who's funding that? You're going to say, to hell with that person. I'm going to fight for this. But they don't actually realize the more nefarious perspective of what's happening behind the scenes.
So I absolutely believe this is true, that I'm sure other countries fund similar things.
The media will always try to amplify something because it's rage baiting and it's click and it's view.
Yeah. Hey, New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell. LaToya Cantrell. Well, she's in some trouble, it seems. Becomes the first sitting mayor in the city's history to be federally indicted, facing charges of conspiracy, wire fraud, obstruction of justice, and lying to a grand jury. Oh boy, oh boy. That is not fantastic now, is it? I would say it ain't all that great. All right, let me switch over to our X feed. By the way, right here at the top, pinned to our page, is the New American Media Rumble account. Please consider signing up. I'm sorry, not Rumble. It's Patreon. It's our Patreon account. You can watch our John B. Wells episode and subscribe and be like, yeah, I'll donate a couple bucks to these guys every month. 10, 15 bucks, 100 bucks, 1,000 bucks. We'll take it. We'll take it all. Please and thank you. Pinned right there. All right. Here's a skit on housing and property taxes. Worth watching. I mean, 2% property taxes each year on a $350,000 house. You got to pay $2,000, $4,000, $6,000, $7,000 just to stay in your place. $7,000. Roughly $500 a month. Are you kidding me? On top of everything else, when you buy the home, you're done. These property taxes need to stop. It's too punitive. Johnny Maga says Fox News claims Trump's meeting with Putin was very unusual, not good, and Putin steamrolled Trump. It's disgraceful propaganda. They want the war to continue so badly. Ed Piatowski here is telling us about a Category 4 hurricane with winds of 130 miles an hour. Are you aware of this one? Additional strengthening is likely, and it's possible it becomes a Category 5 today or Sunday. The forecast track remains unchanged. Peter Schweitzer says here's a declassified bombshell, FBI's own internal timeline memo, just declassified by FBI Director Kash Patel. proves that multiple FBI field offices were investigating the Clintons for pay-to-play and bribery revelations contained in his book, Clinton Cash. And then the Obama DOJ ordered the career agents to shut it down. This isn't just a smoking gun, it's the whole arsenal. FBI agents uncovered evidence of pay-to-play at the Clinton Foundation in 2016, told to shut it down. It's proof of political interference at the highest levels. CNN reported Trump was angry at Putin after the meeting. Does this seem angry? Take a look. He looks tired. Putin seems to be very animated. No, I think it's a charming, endearing conversation, it appears. No, Jack Posobiec, I would not say that would qualify as, what would you say, angry? I'm not here. Well, at least at that moment, I'm not seeing it. Amuse here says, for the second time, reporters from the Washington Post have released the home address of DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. With a 1,000% increase in daily death threats, Kristi was forced to move out of her house. Now that these fearless reporters have alerted cartels, criminal gangs, and terrorists to her new home address, she'll be forced to move again. How much do you have to hate someone to help their would-be assassins find them? So who is this? Washington Post's Mary Ann Levine, Liz Goodwin, and Dan Lamoth have released her name or her new address, forcing her to be relocated a second time. Is that true? Is that really happening? I couldn't imagine a scenario where that would be okay. Elise Stefanik just dropped a political Moab, a bombshell letter to AG Bondi warning that Standard Chartered Bank funneled $9.6 billion in illicit payments to terrorists and that China used it to buy sanctioned Iranian oil, saying whistleblowers claim Letitia James knew about the dirty money, approved the bank's annual report anyway, and may have been working hand in glove with the Biden admin to look the other way. Servers in New Jersey allegedly helped move the cash. Not just corruption, a direct pipeline of terrorist financing operating under the noses of America's top law enforcement officials. If true, it's treason-level betrayal hiding behind a deferred prosecution deal. That's a big claim by Next News Network, and they're putting some sources here. Honorable Pam Bondi, so take a look. Elise Stefanik, Chairwoman, House Republican Leadership. Libs of TikTok is reporting this. Did you catch this one? They are saying another Hamtramck, Michigan City Councilman Abu Musa under investigation for election fraud. Surveillance video allegedly shows Musa depositing stacks of ballots at a drop box days before the primary election. He won by just a few dozen votes, but Democrats, they say this never happens. So what say you? What do you make of that? What say you, eh? Tom McDonald released a song. Does this say the song is called The Devil is a Democrat? It's an interesting name. I'm listening. They want rainbows in the classrooms and 50. All right, maybe I'll do a reaction video to some more Tom McDonald. It's been a minute. The Smithsonian needs to teach children the real history of slavery. Benny Johnson and what is her name? Jillian Michaels. There you go. Jillian was on with CNN, and they didn't want to talk about how the Smithsonian is trying to rewrite history, trying to lie to people, trying to make things very slanted so that certain groups are hated. Those certain groups are, people I can relate to. And I don't appreciate it because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of context. How much of this is relevant in a world today anyway, where we have the same rights and freedoms? There's nothing institutionalized right now. They ask this question during Every Man on the Street. Are there any particular laws on the books that you're claiming are different for different people based on their genitalia or their skin color? Like, where are you claiming that this is happening today? Where are you saying, where are your, where? Anyway, Benny Johnson points out, slavery originated in Africa over 4,700 years ago. Slavery was exported from Africa into the United States, the West, rather. The U.S. and England were the first to abolish slavery. You get enough credit for that, or you just get constant grief? Well, you know, you did that in the past. First off, I didn't do anything. Watch what you're saying. I didn't do anything. Secondly, if the U.S. and England were the first to abolish slavery, I want the credit for that. Especially if you're going to try to blame me for something I didn't do, I want the credit for the things that were done. Can't have your cake and eat it too. If you're going to put it out there, then fine. I'm also taking the credit. I really don't deserve any blame or credit because I wasn't there and you weren't there. None of us were there. It's something in history that either we're going to continue with the human trafficking of 30 million people into America under Biden, Obama, Mayorkas, Harris, Democrats, deep state, NGOs, or the opposite of that. And 7 million people remain enslaved in Africa right now. That sounds like, all that sounds crazy. Jillian Michael says when you first walk into the Museum of American History, the first thing you see is a gay flag, and it's all about gay progress, but that's not about slavery. I think Jillian Michaels is gay, by the way. You know, by the way, I don't care what people do. I have so little room to care about who people are and what they like. Your personal life is your personal life. Like, it's not really something we need to hyperfixate on. The hyperfixation is probably a real bad thing. Sexual proclivity or ancient race issues. Ancient, there's still problems today. Yeah, but being hit over the head with constant slavery. It's like, hey, how about the praise of, hey, first two nations to ban slavery globally? America and Britain, the UK and the USA. Anyway, Jillian says then they show a Latino history exhibit blaming the U.S. for Cuban immigration issues. No mention of Fidel Castro either. The key reason of that immigration, just the white devil who backed Batista. Huge lie of omission. They talk about how we've always feared non-white immigration, she says, but there's no mention that historically people hated the Irish, hated the Eastern Europeans, like Italians. Italians were considered non-white immigrants. That's matter of fact. Even the Star-Spangled Banner is criticized. They go after the guy who wrote it, calling him a huge racist, a slaver, and not an abolitionist. There's no balance and no context. Because everything the Democrats have been doing is fixating on racial division. It is awful. Awful, 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 awful. So check out that conversation. Thomas Massie for Congress points out these three people. These three globalist billionaires are the only donors to the MAGA Kentucky super PAC, which is attacking him, Thomas Massie, for principled votes in Congress. Guess which one is in Epstein's black book? Uh-oh. Share and donate at the link in his bio if you can. I appreciate having Thomas Massie in Congress. David Icke says they don't care anymore. World Economic Forum says, here's a statement from Larry Fink and Andre Hoffman, interim co-chairs of the World Economic Forum. BlackRock's Larry Fink, the new chairman. There you go. His name is literally Rat Fink. Larry Fink. You couldn't make this stuff up. North Carolina passes a law allowing foreign doctors to practice without U.S. training or testing. That doesn't sound good. Check that out. Secretary Kennedy here talks about the CDC holding secret meetings about the rise of autism. Check out that interview. These are the elected semi-truck drivers who offed 3 people while making a U-turn at an official use only turn on the turnpike on Florida. It's a homicide investigation. They did this crossing the thing and a car went right into them. The video's horrific. Bam. 3 people ended. Just you got a full investigation into who's driving vehicles in our country. Immediately. Full investigation. All right, and that's what I wanted to share with you today on the abbreviated episode of the TNAM Daily Show Weekend Edition. Oh, Kenneth shows up just in time for me to say goodbye. Kenneth, it was a fun show. Got a lot of news in here. A couple of segments, a lot of blurbs. Hope everyone has a great weekend. I'm going to sign out in appreciation for all of you in the TNAM universe. Kenneth will only be a slave to the rhythm. Rhythm is a dancer. By the way, we're just want to remind everyone, we are asking you to throw a penny in the wishing well. If you could play a device, have some device, and go to the TNAM YouTube channel and watch as many videos as you can in this next week, just as soon as possible. As many devices, as many videos of TNAM playing with at least one volume click. We are so close to striking distance to applying to get our monetization back on YouTube. You know, they might take it away again, but I want to at least get that completed in case we're allowed to keep it for a while. It sure would be great. Yeah, like I said, every single time we do a show every week. This week, the surprise bill was $190 for continued maintenance on the Apple Care program for the new computer that was needed to have the firepower to deliver you this show so that we could have the green screen and have everything running smooth. It just never stops. So we appreciate the people out there in the universe that support our program, and you never stop. Thank you. Let me just put it up on the screen. Once again, our Patreon link at the New American Media, tip jar, Venmo, and Cash App at BrianEngelman, and on PayPal, we are Fuzz Installment at yahoo.com. Scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Yes, gee, I missed it. Put my Kindle on it. Hey now. All right. Sounds great. Thank you. That'd be awesome. Yeah, we need like 600 pennies tossed in the wishing well. So five pennies here, 10 pennies there, 15 pennies, 5 a day. That's 35 a week. A couple of people, and we'll be 10, 12 people doing 5 a day, and we'll be done in a week, and we can apply. I don't know exactly. It's an inexact science, but your support is so appreciated. Everyone, have an amazing weekend. Make some memories. And we will be back on Monday at noon here on the TNAM Daily Show, a division of the TNAM, the Agree to Disagree show. That's our podcast on Spotify and Apple, so subscribe to it. All right. I appreciate you. I love you. And we will talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.